Hi, Bill Henshaw here again, otherwise known as Mr. Constitution, and I want to update you on some current events. This one has to do with Breonna Taylor, who still hasn't gotten any justice and isn't going to get any. And I'm sorry to be the one to say it, but in the system we have with non existent civil rights based on the non existent 14th War Amendment, this is exactly what happens. The law enforcement thug that shot through the door and killed her, they couldn't even convict him of what did they call this? Let me double check here. Wanton endangerment, whatever the hell that is. And you can be sure his attorneys probably put in a motion to strike, because the statute was void for vagueness. I don't know if that's why this happened, but don't be surprised. When what really happened, as we all know, is at least second-degree murder. And this is what has to stop. And across the board, it's not just Africans and Asians here. It's all of us. This is a system that doesn't recognize the value of human life or human rights or anything else for that matter, and doesn't think it has to. Yet that wasn't the way the nation and republic was founded based on the original intent of the framers. That's what we have to get back to. We can do that by taking away most of the power from my former hometown of Washington, D.C., and sending it back to the states and better yet, the counties, local government. Okay, think about that. What a trifecta this is. Much less expensive, much more efficient, much easier to control. That's why most of the powers should be there. So, that said, another disconcerting fact here is, had the situation been reversed and Breonna Taylor fires some shots and kills a law enforcement thug, isn't that first-degree murder? Well, yes and no. The Supreme Court says, not so fast. And a case called Bad Elk v. United States, 177 U.S. 529, they not only reversed the conviction for murder, and this happened on the Indian reservation in South Dakota, which has just recently then become a quote-unquote state, which it didn't. Story for another video. And they reversed it on the grounds that the cop didn't have probable cause and he didn't have a warrant. That's exactly the way it should be and still should be. And given the fact that we're not subject to any of their statutory schemes, it's a very, very difficult time getting a warrant and or having probable cause. And that's what they need to be taught, by us on one level, but by the governor on another, who has the sworn duty to see the laws are faithfully executed. That doesn't mean not training these law enforcement thugs so they can't tell the difference between you and I, and IBM, Chase Bank, Microsoft. All these statutes apply to corporate entities. That's the only body politic recognized by the non-existent 14th War Amendment, and they can't voice off any of it on us. If you go in there with my materials and send me an email, youwinnincourt@gmail.com, I've got a bill of particulars, motion to dismiss, conditional acceptance to counsel, and a lot more. And all these documents get the job done from day one, and or set us up to get in front of a jury I don't think any of us are ever going to see, because you also get close to 600 jury instructions, among which we explain to them that we're not a quote-unquote person within the meaning of the statute, because the person is the same thing as a corporation. This is what all has to change, and when it does, it gets a hell of a lot better. And when people go out and commit crimes, like these law enforcement thugs do. And in my day, by the way, I'm so damn old now. When we grew up, we had peace officers. We didn't have any crap like this. It was very almost unheard of. And I'm right out of, Washington, D.C., where I grew up. But nowadays, my Lord, they can just about kill you for any reason whatsoever, and get off scot-free, or like Johannes Measley, who murdered Oscar Grant in the BART station out here a while back. And this bastard did get sentenced to 2 years, I think, for involuntary manslaughter, and was out in about a year for good behavior. Should have been at least second-degree murder, 25 years to life. That sends a message. And it also tells law enforcement what they should be doing is contacting the governor and ask why he's not training them to do their job right. That would be a big help, any of you that happen to be in that business out there. Another quickie about that is that for me personally, and I think a lot of people will agree, I think, being an ex-military is not only not a job requirement for law enforcement, it's just the opposite. I mean, my God, if you can't tell the difference between Baghdad, Iraq, and Baltimore, Maryland, there's something really wrong here. And that's the way it is. And who knows what the U.S. government does with these people when they're in the military. Who knows what injections and drugs and what other stuff they get. I'm not an expert in that area, but let's just say I wouldn't be surprised. So you don't have the judgment to start out with, and then they turn you loose with full military gear and this, that, and the other on people like you and me, to do whatever it is they want. I mean, this has to stop. These laws are not enforceable. Of course, a big problem for them is once we start getting judgments like that and jury verdicts, if many of us ever see one, and we probably won't, this is the beginning of the end for the government that we now have, and good riddance. My goodness, if you knew half of the story, and you will, send me an email, uwinnincourt@gmail.com, get information on my modestly priced constitutional defense document packets. It's stunning. Now, it'll take a little while. You're not going to get it right away. And I didn't either, by the way. I wasn't, the quickest kid out of the box either. But eventually I did. And when I did, I said, you've got to be kidding here. But all of it is true. My goodness, no states, no electorate, no elections, no 14th Amendment, no trial by jury. I mean, it goes on. And we have to change all of it, especially for you, those of you that have families, for your children and your posterity. I'm the end of the line here for my family. They're probably happy about that in Washington, D.C. But I'm doing what I can to help make it happen. And I want to help you do it too. And you can do it with my help and my materials. And you get a lot of backup from me when you get them too. You get, free phone consultations and free documents for a year with changes. And a lot of things are going to change in the next year. So you get those. And it just goes on. And then a free Zoom appearance, by the way, at a contested hearing, which they can't have happen either. So it's a really good deal. And, you need to do this for yourselves and your family and lead by example. If we do that, and if we get away from all this divide and conquer crap they've been doing for way too long, we can get these people off our backs. That said, subscribe, like the videos, tell your friends, get the word out. The sooner we all start working together, the quicker we get these bastards off our back. Thank you.